If I can have your attention here in the media center, we are now joined by Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 2 Miller Lite Ford for Team Penske. Brad will roll off ninth in Sunday's New Hampshire 301. Brad, you coming into this race with a lot of momentum, Daytona, last week at Kentucky. It's been exciting along the way. Do you feel some more excitement coming for you this Sunday here at New Hampshire?
Yeah, it sure has been a good ride the last 2 weeks, and that's all you can ask for as a driver is to be up front and have a chance to win races, and we've had that, been able to capitalize on it, so feel really good about that. Of course, we got to keep it going, and hopefully we can do that this weekend at New Hampshire. It's a little early in the weekend to be able to tell how all that will play out, and there's been a lot of changes since the last time we have been here, so I think we're seeing that all play out together. But with all that said, I feel really confident, and this track is usually a very good track for us, and there's no place else I'd rather be.
We're going to open up the floor to questions. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start here with Kenny.
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com. Brad, several teams seemed like it took them a little while to get through inspection out there. Did your guys have any issues at all? And secondly, it looked like you might have had a problem on in that last round of qualifying. If you could kind of take us through that.
Yeah, I guess the first part about cars through tech, we didn't have any problems that I know of with my car. I did see a couple guys might have got through late, but it's hard to say why or if there was any common issues. I couldn't answer that. I just know we didn't have any. That kept us from being there on time. Maybe we had something I didn't know about, but yeah, in our last run there, we just tried to find a little bit more speed and didn't stick. So kind of aborted and tried again. So not what we wanted, but it's how it goes sometimes.
Other questions for Brad? We'll go to Pat and then to Bob.
Pat Ticola, NASCAR.com. Just your general reaction to the juniors news and how you think the sport handles concussions as a whole.
Yeah. Were you saving that question for me? Yeah, well, Dale's a friend. He's not, obviously he's the most popular driver in the sport. He's got a lot of fans, probably the strongest fan base. But I try not to wear that hat. I try to wear the hat as, someone that gave me a big break in my career, and, I'm thankful for that, and is a friend of mine along the way. So I would say that, I'm disappointed for him. I'm sure he's disappointed as well. But I also understand, what he was thinking with terms to he's got a lot of life to live outside of, this world right here. And sometimes that's really easy to forget. Sometimes I forget that. I think sometimes we all kind of forget that because we're so focused on what we do. But that's not always a bad thing. So, I'm hoping, that everything works out for him. Of course, we want to see him back. I want to race him. I like racing against him. And I'm hoping that he'll be back next week. But I don't know specific of what all he's dealing with and so forth. But, I think my thoughts on that whole topic has been pretty well documented. I'm not really looking to add any more to it. I might not be a doctor, but I'd like to think sometimes I got a brain, and maybe that gives me the ability to have some perspective on it. A lot of other people's don't. So that's okay. But, I'm happy with what I've said so far about the topic. Thank you.
Go next to Bob and then to Lewis.
Bob Hocker, ESPN. My question is kind of along those lines, in the sense of we know you have some passionate feelings on this topic. We're all talking and asking people about this topic this weekend. Do you have to avoid thinking about it or talking to people? Because you're a guy who likes debate, but is there any concern among yourself that, I can't get into this debate because I've got to focus on a race car this weekend?
Well, I'm here to win 3 in a row, not argue about, concussions. Obviously, my opinion on the topic is probably vastly different than the majority of the opinions, and, I feel like I've said what I need to say there, and there's probably more I could say, but it's just a distraction to your point, Bob, so I'm not really interested in carrying it any further.
Go to Lewis.
Yep. Louis Frank of Reuters. Doug Ducard said that if Dale isn't ready for next week, they'd put Jeff Gordon in the car. No question about his talent. He hasn't been off the scene for very long. But it's a big decision to retire from racing, and you're many years away from that. But the thought process of what do you think of the thought process of deciding to leave racing and then getting back in a car?
I can't speak for Jeff, but I thought he left a window where he said he wasn't completely retired. Maybe I'm wrong.
He said that.
Yeah, so I guess I'm good with it. I'm cool with whatever he wants to do. It's his prerogative, and not that he needed my permission at all, but I'm sure there's somebody in here who's going to write something that says Brad Keselowski gives Jeff Gordon permission to race. Yeah, and I'll get a tweet or a message from some Jeff Gordon fan saying what a jerk I am. But I think it's all right by me. I think it's cool. It's always nice for a race team to have that kind of depth. And I don't know what Jeff's thoughts are on it. I mean, he hasn't really said anything that I'm aware of. But I think more important is on the whole topic in general is just the context of Dale being healthy.
Go next to Rob.
Sorry.
No, we'll go to Rob, and then we'll go to Mike. Yeah. Don't steal his mic.
Gosh,
Rob-
that's kind of rude. No, just kidding. She did give me a water, so she's got even karma now.
Yeah, that's all right. That's
even
good.
karma.
Rob T. Oxen at the podium finish. Brad, it seems like this season's kind of going in a 2014 swing because you've come into this racetrack with 4 wins already. And the thing I find unique about those 4 wins is that they come in kind of unique formats. You basically dominated Daytona rather. You got the field mileage win last weekend. When you're in that position where you're basically got a share of the points lead, how comfortable is it to know that you can kind of gamble at a racetrack like here to go for a 5th win? And secondly, what do you like about racing here at Loudon that kind of suits your racing style?
Well, it's nice to have 4 wins. I wish they meant more. Yeah. When it comes chase time, I got 4 stickers on my car, and that's about it. But beyond that, it's a confidence booster for the group, and we come here to New Hampshire, with a lot of optimism because it's a good track for us in a lot of ways. And the reasons behind that, I would say, is we just have seemed to have great communication between my crew chief of what we need to run well here, and I think that's critical anywhere you go. But it seems like certain tracks just click for certain teams. And it's not always easy to define why. Sometimes you think you got an idea and something comes in and disproves that. But this has been one of those tracks that's clicked for my team and for myself. And we're proud of that. We want to keep it going. And there's a lot of things being thrown at us this weekend to maybe throw that off the rails. A different rules package with the car compared to years past. And the tire compounds are drastically different, which throws the car setup kind of for a whack between the two of those. So, this isn't a layup weekend for us. We're going to have to really fight hard to get on top here, and I know we're committed to doing that. No problem. Thank you.
We'll go next to Mike, and then back and finish with Terrell.
Mike Hember, USA Today. Is racing for a win here this week and having your car in shape to do that the same as getting ready for the second race here, which is obviously more important than this
Yeah.
one? Are the differences there or the same thing?
I think the cars will be pretty similar. The guys that are fast this time around will probably be fast next time around when we come back here. So that makes this weekend a pretty important weekend for us. You look at it in terms of car development, and Phoenix is probably on the exact opposite end. You start out in late February, early March at that track, and you come back in November, and it seems like you have 2 completely different cars with development that your team has put into it, and it's not always a good indicator of who's going to be fast. I say that after Harvick's won there a bunch of times, but you look at this track, Loudon specifically, and I don't know if there's another track in the chase that races back-to-back so quickly in such a short time span. And that means generally what works here in the first race carries over to the second race because the car specs and development cycle is relatively close. So I think it's a good indicator for sure, and it's an important race for us to run well, being that it is in the chase when we come back. So I think we put a lot of emphasis on this race, as do all the chase eligible teams right now.
It's
Terrell?
really sort of a dovetail. I'm sorry, Terrell Covey, Portsmouth Herald. Sort of a dovetail off of that question. Did those 4 stickers on your car give you a chance to play around a little bit here this time around and experiment with some things that you might want to try when you come back?
Yeah, somewhat. I think it's more for the crew chiefs to make bold calls than anything else. As a driver, there's only so much you can really do, short of just wrecking someone. I kind of feel like it's the opposite as a driver. As a driver, it's like, no, I got 4 wins just to make sure I don't piss anyone off for when the chase starts. But the team's like, yeah, now that we got 4 wins, let's put that part in we thought would break, but we're not sure. And let's call that crazy pitch strategy. We don't know. And, so it's like 2 different worlds there. But it's certainly an interesting change once you've won a race.
Well, Brad, we really appreciate you coming and joining us today, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Take care.